Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, pop culture every Wednesday night right here, 8 p.m. Eastern, talkradio.nyc, and streaming live on Facebook, facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. We had such an exciting show last week, as I'm always joined by my co-host extraordinaire, Hassan Godwin, who's second mic. Yeah.
That is not my title.
You don't remember that?
What is my title?
Are you still Lord of the Radio?
I'm still... How do you stop being Lord of the Radio?
When you get called a second mic. For anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about...
That guy's going to get killed.
Go download last week's podcast on iTunes. Just look up Secrets of the Sire, S-I-R-E, or my name, last name, Dolce. That'll bring it up.
Don't do Sires of the Secret, though. I made that mistake once. It's horrible. It goes right to the dark web. It's terrible. It's terrible. Don't go there. So
we had such an exciting show last week because we got to review, before anybody else, the new History Channel show, Nightfall, and it was awesome. It was a great experience.
Yes, it was.
Many thanks to History Channel for jumping on our bandwagon, which, to be fair, they're the first of many because our show is awesome and they should. But it's a sad day today. It's actually very sad. It is Alpha Intern Anna's last show, and then she got finals to study for, and then she's like jaunting off to Europe.
Yeah.
So
really,
I
don't feel bad for her.
She does not feel bad.
No, she's
like at all.
I'm leaving you guys and I'm going to the old country, and I'm not going to think about you once.
Yeah. So, but we'll move on. Somehow we'll get through this. And somehow she'll make it through as well too.
Yes,
but, it's been a pleasure for.
She'll realize
for
our importance somewhere along the line of traveling back from being overseas.
But we've got some really great stuff to talk about. Apparently, I mean, there's so much stuff happening. Literally 4 minutes ago, news just broke that Ryan Reynolds will be playing Pikachu in a live-action Pokemon movie. Anna, this is your chance.
Yeah.
Now, Anna is of the Pokemon generation.
Yeah.
Give Anna the mic. Give Anna the mic.
Oh my god, this is so much pressure.
It's so much pressure? That's it? You've been doing this for 8 weeks and you can't get in front of the mic?
That's so much pressure.
Discuss. Nope, she's done. All right, well, it's been a good internship. It's been a very good internship.
It's not even that hard.
Pikachu is not supposed to talk. And I love Ryan Reynolds, but he shouldn't be doing that. He should be better than that.
He should?
Yeah, he should know. He should know better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should know better. That's it? You're gonna hang on that?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think
that's pretty good.
Ending statement, I think. Yeah.
All right.
So, news broke that Ryan Reynolds is going to play. We're not going to really discuss much of that because we don't really know.
If Pikachu doesn't talk at all, why would you get Ryan Reynolds to play him? Because that's all Ryan Reynolds does is talk.
He's like the Vin Diesel Groot
of mouth.
No, think about it.
Mouth and off.
Vin Diesel is the voice of Groot.
Yes.
In Guardians of the Galaxy, and
he's like the opposite.
We just blew Alpha Intern Anna's mind. She had no idea that was Vin Diesel. Yes, that's Vin Diesel.
You didn't know
that? You have not picked up.
You did not know that.
No.
Yeah.
He's also the voice of the Iron Giant.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. Mine's just totally blown. That is on top of the news that Quentin Tarantino may write and direct the next Star Trek film.
Right.
Which also, again,
why does that blow anybody's mind? He is a
chatter.
complete meta geek. So why wouldn't he be completely versed in the Star Trek universe?
I mean, I think there's with good reason though. I mean, I think there's people will not associate him with anything related to to the nerdist mentality or the nerd life of that is Star Trek.
He is the ultimate nerd. Have you ever seen him give an interview? Have
Sure.
you ever heard him talk?
Sure.
He is just steeped in nerd lore. So, like, how would he not be qualified?
Movies aren't.
His movies are very different, but I mean,
that's my point. Though most people don't react to him as in-depthly as maybe you and I do because we live in this world and we're immersed in this world, so we want to actually
most people are stupid. Because, I mean, it's obvious.
It's the most articulate you've been all night.
You know what? I was being expedient.
Yes, you were. So we're gonna talk about Tarantino a little bit later when we go spinning the racks. We're gonna talk about Ryan Reynolds a little later. But the topic of the day, I mean, God, there's so much going on.
So tell us something.
Well, everyone wants to talk about the TV shows. That's the big thing. We've got Bleeding Cool's Riverdale expert Lauren Sisselman is gonna be coming on later. Coolest last name ever, by the way.
Yes, Sisselman.
Right? Like
yes.
Did
she
actually
make that name up? Is that a made-up
you know,
name?
it's got to be fake.
Yeah.
We'll ask her that
You think
question.
so?
We'll ask her that question.
If that's a real name, that's I'm hanging up.
Yeah.
I'm hanging it up.
No, you're done.
Because
You're
I don't have
You're
a good
done.
name. I was like, that's not winning the lottery then.
Yeah.
Having a great name like that is winning the lottery.
So we're going to definitely talk about that, but I think people really want to just jump into this.
Unless she was a short order cook. That also would work.
Oh.
Come on now. She had two choices.
So
She
Disney
could
is
be
about to
entertainment or short order
buy
cook.
Fox is the big word on the street. And this is coming from comicbookmovie.com. According to some new information from CNBC, and CNBC is kind of legit, talks between Disney and 21st Century Fox have reached a point where a deal could be on the horizon, possibly as early as next week.
Do we know why Disney wants to buy Fox other than they want to just be the masters of all things?
Fox basically put it out there that they want to be bought because Comcast was interested in them. Like
So
they're
Fox are
basically
whores.
they
They're
need
whores.
to. Yes,
They're on the corner. They're on the street corner,
yes.
looking for anybody that comes
they're basically not doing as well as you know. Well, I mean that's right. I mean
financially.
This isn't a question of like, hey, someone called up Fox and was like, "How much to buy you?" And they're like, "Ha ha ha, nice, that's great." They're like, "No, this is yeah, please,
This is what we want.
Yes, please,
Yes, buy us,
because
buy us."
Comcast was big into like. There's a bunch. Disney was at first favorite. Actually, Sam, our producer extraordinaire. I was going to say illustrious extraordinaire, but that doesn't make any sense.
No, it wouldn't.
He actually
I would be
cued us
making
in.
fun of you right now.
Well, and you should, and with good reason.
Yeah. I'm actually a little disappointed that you thought better of it.
That's like The Simpsons when they do the Radioactive Man movie, and they lose Milhouse for the entire episode, and they're like, well, with seamless technology, we can just bring Milhouse in with other footage, and it's just terribly spliced together, and they're like, you're fired, and with good reason. He actually pointed out that Disney was interested in buying Fox. It was a potential, but this was like a month ago.
Engineer extraordinaire, Sam. That's who you're referring to, right?
Yes.
Now? Okay.
And then it kind of fell flat, and then Comcast stepped it up, and it looked like they were going to be the big ones because they're all in. Look, content.
But Comcast got destroyed by any company, no matter what. Is going to get killed by Disney. As soon as you hear Disney's on the horizon, Disney's the sun coming up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You basically are a guy with a mag light, right? Yeah. and you're a god of the nighttime.
Comcast is pretty
while you
big,
got
though.
the mag light
Comcast
until the sun
pretty
comes up,
big.
and then you're not anything. You're just the jerk with a flashlight in the middle of the desert. That's what you are. That's what Comcast is right now compared to the sun, which is Disney.
So
Disney bought Marvel.
Yes.
Disney,
but
listen,
Marvel was actually not a hot commodity. When
Doesn't
Disney
matter.
bought it.
Doesn't matter. Disney had one of the hugest flops in cinematic history. John Carter with Mars.
Yes.
This was before.
Yes.
All the acquisitions.
Yes.
They shook that off like it was a heat fever, like a heat flash, right?
Yeah.
And then they bought Marvel. Oh. We own everything from Marvel now. Anything that Marvel has, it belongs to us now. And then, I don't know, that guy woke up one night and he said, you know what?
We could really use Star Wars.
Yeah. I think we're going to buy Lucasfilm. It's like, no, you're not going to buy Lucas. You know what? I think we're going to buy Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
And they bought Lucasfilm. Yeah. Okay? So now they're like, what do we do? It's Christmas. What do we get ourselves? What are we going to do for ourselves? I don't know. I mean, we already own the world. What's on Mars? There's nothing on Mars. It's like, what's the moon? Not really much. Let's buy Fox. Let's just buy 20th Century Fox. Let's buy the entire 20th century.
Well, Brian,
that's what we're going to do.
Brian Phillips chimed in and asked so Disney would get X-Men back. And I guess the true term is Marvel would get
X-Men back.
And Fantastic
did we lose X-Men?
Four would be.
That would be a mistake for them to make it would be a mistake for them to make a Fantastic Four movie anytime soon.
Well, Michael Mamano
maybe
chimed in on this post on Facebook, and he actually said that I think it was him that actually said it, and I'll double check when we go to break, but that might not be a good thing because they're going to, if they bring these characters, that's the initial reaction, right? Mm-hmm. The initial reaction is, this is great. We get to finally see, Deadpool in the Marvel Universe. We get to see Wolverine be part of the Avengers. No, and yes,
he's gone. Wolverine quit.
Well, but
the only Wolverine of note at the moment.
Sure,
I'm sure someone that can come along and do his role
can be there now. and the initial reaction is, yes, this is awesome, this is great. But then they actually pointed out that, if that's the case, Disney might reboot everything.
Probably will.
They
probably, because of,
and what does that mean?
The X movies are terrible. The X movies are terrible. They're like the Star Trek movies. They are mostly miss with the 1 or 2 hits.
But, and this is a great segue into what we're going to really talk about tonight.
You can't call your own segue great.
I just did.
You can't. No.
Yeah,
yes,
I just did.
You did, but that doesn't mean it's real.
What it means is that shows like Legion, shows like Gifted
will end.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Legion actually is very highly regarded, and that's one of the topics that we had tonight. Just Two Pals tweeted us. I think one of the best shows is Legion. Excellent acting and storytelling. So I got a ton of that, a ton of social activity when I posted.
Just too much information right there. Nobody asked Just Two Pals anything.
Well, I like Just Two Pals.
Nobody asked.
It's Just Two Pals.
I'm the second chair. I just say nobody asked.
Your second mic.
I'm second
much
mic.
Different. You can't be both.
Listen, if I have a second mic, I got a second chair. I could be either one.
I don't know if that's the case.
As long as I put the word second in front of it,
yeah.
It doesn't threaten you in any way.
So I guess what it comes down to is this a great thing? Are we overthinking it though too?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we are overthinking. So it is a great thing, right? It would be a great thing to have everything cohesively, right?
It'll be a great thing for me because I hate the X-Men movies.
Okay. So this is a
with
good
the
day for
exception
Best
of Logan and The Wolverine, which I thought were two good movies. Yeah. See, no, we're talking about me. Okay. You stay out of it. Yeah. I like those 2 movies.
Yeah.
Everything else, crap. So
Days of Future Past, crap.
No,
that's crap.
It was a decent movie.
It was very good.
It was a decent X-Men movie, but it was a decent movie compared to. That's like he didn't hit me as hard as those other guys hit me.
X2 is one of the best X-Men films out there. Period. I there's no room for discussion there. I mean, it's got Wolverine finally breaking loose. You also got to factor in the time period of when it came out. I mean, I think there's a lot of things, too, right? So I was listening to Dan Le Batard's show on ESPN today, right? I'm a big fan of that show. And he was saying he was looking at footage of, like, the Lakers versus Celtics back in the 80s. No, don't. That's a good analogy. I do all my good sports analogies. And he was like,
you just told me the discussion's over, though, so I'm taking my break now.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to have my break.
That's good. You don't get paid by the breaks. So,
I don't get paid at all.
I know. Neither do I. Unless History Channel sponsors us for the rest of the year. Come on, History Channel. No, so he was basically saying, he like looked back and he's like, I remember this Lakers-Celtics rivalry being just amazing. And he's like, I watched footage of it, though, through the eyes, and he's like, wow, all these players are slow and
obnoxious.
They're not playing any defense. And maybe this wasn't as great as I remember these games to be.
It's like watching the rivalry between Blur and Oasis.
Yeah.
20 years later, and you're like,
who are these bands? Yeah. Why is Noel Gallagher?
Both of these bands suck.
In another band, right?
What's going on? Why was anybody fighting over this?
But that being said, I still watch X2, and I think it's as good as it goes.
Sure, and that's fine for you. I mean, ultimately you're wrong. They're terrible movies, and maybe Disney will make some good ones now.
So the one thing we can agree when we come back, I want to know what is the best comic book related TV series on the air today. And we will discuss when we get back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you stuck in a rut? Negative thoughts, feelings, and conversations got you down? Hi, I'm Noreen Sumter, the Potentiator. Tune in every Tuesday, 9 to 10 Eastern Time, and listen for new ideas on my show, Beyond Potential. Live life your way on talkradio.nyc.
Do you want to connect with?
Are you an entrepreneur or intrapreneur looking to build your following?
Welcome to our show.
Follow Me Friday with Joan
and Priya.
Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern
on talkradio.nyc.
We're your digital connectors. Woo woo! What's that?
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
Contemplating how to do this, you being on camera next week.
I'm gonna go get some sun then. Get ready. Don't read into it.
Yeah,
just keep going.
That was,
class.
That was very racially
Have some
insensitive.
class. See, there it is.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
see, you ruined it. It was a subtle nod to it now, and you just kind of hit it over the head with a hammer.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We have a lot of fun here. I enjoy.
I'm not having fun.
We're
at
actually
all.
laughing about that
You
drop
can't see
we just
me because
did.
I'm not on camera because I'm not allowed to be on camera because I'm black.
You will be
And,
on camera starting in January, my man.
What did you pass a law?
Machinations are in effect. You will be there.
The machination.
Oh, things are
The
happening.
mashed potatoes is in effect.
So we're a podcast. So obviously, if you're listening to us on iTunes or iHeartRadio or SoundCloud or any of the podcasting
show.
apps,
Wait,
yes.
you mean this whole year we've been doing a podcast?
I know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Are we downloadable someplace?
We are downloadable. You can watch us on YouTube. You can go on Facebook. It's crazy. But
And you want me to be on camera?
we are also a live radio show. So we're going to give out the call-in number. It's 877-480-4120. I just dared everyone on Twitter and Facebook. Be brave. Call in. Tell us the show we should be watching. We got a lot of feedback from this. And the reason we're doing this is we're going to have Riverdale expert Lauren Sisselman on in the next segment.
Find out if she made that name up.
Oh, absolutely going to ask her about that. No question about it. But
And why didn't she decide to be a short order cook if her name is Sisselman?
So we get that's not yeah.
What?
That's one of those
I
like
thought that was one of the things we were going to ask.
that's like one of those things like it was funny when you first said it.
Yeah.
But then you brought it back and you just brought back the Lakers Celtics.
The whole thing, me bringing the joke back means I'm not taking anything seriously, you know?
Well, that's true. That's true. So we got a lot of response online. Annie Banks tweeted us, The Punisher is gripping and brimming with intensity. Runaways caters to more of a target market of younger folk, but for a Hulu franchise, it isn't the worst thing. Meanwhile, David Nieves on Facebook said, you have to be watching Runaways. So we got two differing opinions, right off the bat as to like Runaways
pushy.
is the best one
Very
that you
pushy.
have to watch right now.
I don't respond well to...
You don't respond well to threats?
No, to coercion.
I don't think he was
like
threatening
that.
or
It wasn't
or
a
coercing.
It was coercion.
Ultimatum.
I don't take ultimatums. I don't.
Well,
So now you know what? I'm not watching Runaways. So cross that off the list. That's
So
not on
Runaways
the list.
is off now.
That's
Okay.
off the list.
Punisher, that's a big one. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to give a double shout out to Annie Banks because she says, I got to side with Just Two Pals and Mike Dolce. That's me. On this one, X2 and Logan are the two of the best X-Universe films.
What do you think that proves?
That proves that I'm
What do
pretty
you think
awesome.
that-
And I have empirical data to prove it.
That's not empirical data.
It's in my Twitter feed. It's empirical.
Yeah, that must be true. The president says it's true. It's all true.
I'll give a wave to Andre Mirialis, who just joined, who's joining us from Brazil on the Facebook feed. I just want to give a shout
for
out to
joining us.
our international people.
Who also knows that X2 is a terrible movie.
It's not. How is it a
is a
bad?
pretty bad
Why is
movie.
X2 a bad movie?
What?
How much time we got?
I'll kill it in a second.
Yeah.
Jean Grey's telekinetic.
Okay.
Why'd she have to get off the plane to stop the wave from hitting the plane?
Because it was too big of a wave. She needed to actually see it.
How does that work?
Well,
She's telekinetic. She's kinetic.
Yeah.
She moves things with her mind. That's
Correct.
what telekinesis is.
Correct.
Why'd she have to get off the plane? She was in a comfy plane
Yeah.
that was going to get away.
Yeah.
Why didn't she just make the wave
Because
move?
she needed to become Dark Phoenix next year.
Exactly.
But that's
Movie
still
sucked.
That's
Movie
come
sucked.
on, really?
Movie sucked.
So
Okay.
was the movie really good up until that point?
Here's
for you?
another thing. Here's
Yeah.
another great thing. Okay, someone tried to kill the president.
Yeah.
Right. All this stuff happens in the middle of the film. Right. President's about to give a speech about mutants. Right. Everybody's like, "Hey, tune in at 8. President's going to give a speech."
Mm-hmm.
The world stops. And Charles Xavier comes on and threatens the president.
Yes.
In front of, Now, people watching, waiting for the president to show up, Charles Xavier didn't freeze the world.
No,
he
didn't
only
freeze
froze
time.
the vicinity.
Correct.
So everybody else is like,
yes,
the president's being preemptive for something.
Yeah.
And then the president's going to come back all white as a ghost. Like, yo, I just had a bunch of mutants in here, and they freaking threatened me, yo. What? Someone help. Someone help me.
If somebody came onto the show right now, a Charles Xavier-like mutant, and said, Hassan, you need to be in front of the camera. ASAP.
Yeah. I would tell him.
You wouldn't be freaked out by that and go along with what he says because at the end of the day, they're like, we can do whatever we want to.
We don't respond to terrorists. The whole thing was X-Men United. We don't respond to terrorists. The whole thing was a response to 9/11. And then they threatened the president. It was the whole movie was totally off.
Oof.
There was one hero in that movie.
Oof.
I bet you can't tell who the hero is.
Colossus.
I bet you don't know who I think the hero is.
Iceman.
No.
Do you think it was...
No, you're wrong.
Okay. So who was it?
It was the fighter pilot who shot down the Blackbird. Because I swear to God, there were hurricanes all over the place. Storm was throwing everything at her, and that fighter pilot hung in there and fired the missile.
I'm going to go behind the curtain.
That was the only character.
I'm going to go behind the curtain here. I'm going to go behind the curtain a little bit.
Well, I don't even know what behind the curtain means. Stay away from my curtains.
Where we give our listeners and our viewers a little insight into.
Yeah, but by insight you mean that you're going to tell them something about me that I don't.
No,
really
actually, I was going to talk about me.
Oh, all right. Well, then we can do that. Let's do that.
I'm a little tired tonight. And
is that why you're losing? Is that what you're going to tell everybody you're losing?
No. Actually, the beauty of it is I'm not actually losing. I'm just letting you talk and talk and talk, and you're defeating yourself. And it's helping me because I don't have the mental capacity to fight
all
back.
My points were pertinent. You haven't had one rebuttal that was worthwhile to any of my points I just made.
How do I react
how that movie
to
is terrible.
The hero was the fighter pilot who shot the heroes of the movie
You don't believe in our armed
down.
Forces? You don't believe in our fighting men and women? Is that what you're saying?
First of all, X2 was not an allegory for 9/11.
It was a response to 9/11. That's why they changed the title to X-Men United.
What was it supposed to be? X-Men 9/11?
No.
What was it then?
Read up on it. I'm not gonna inform you.
You're not going to inform us?
No. That's why they changed the title to X-Men United.
I'm going to look this up. I'm going to call out to loyal listener Jeff Gomez to tweet and or Facebook us with the reason. The Transmedia Girl. He would know.
Jeff Gomez will.
He would know.
Will side with me.
Jeff,
I make sense.
You've got your cabal of individuals.
What cabal? He's in my cabal.
Like Alpha Intern Anna.
Jeff Gomez.
She sides with everything you say.
No one's
That's
cabal.
why she's out of here.
That's why she get rid of her. I'm sorry, Anna.
I
fought for you. I really did.
That was it.
But you know, in my defense, or in Michael's defense, you didn't know about the Vin Diesel thing, so that doesn't mean that means you're not meta. You should. If you were a geek, you would do that. You have no idea what I look up in my free time. It's completely ridiculous.
David Nieves, take this post down. It was a picture of Riverdale because the answer is always Runaways. Runaways.
Wow. A lot of celebration. I might end up having to watch this show.
It's on Hulu, though. I don't want to have to get Hulu now just to watch a show. Hulu's worth it? Why is Hulu worth it? I have Netflix. Why do I need Hulu? Yeah, I can live with that. Stephen Lightman, tonight, Happy starts. You should be watching that. That's the Grant Morrison adaptation. It's on Sci-Fi Channel. There's so much stuff out there.
Too much.
That's comic book related, right? Like it's
way
too much content. I definitely got to do. I mean, we're going to hit a Punisher.
Do you in the process of our elimination here?
Oh, there's no elimination.
Let me just ask. No, well, yeah, there's kind of a process of elimination.
Stuff out there.
Even if we're not eliminating anything, we're still doing the process of elimination. So. Here's a question: are you at any point going to throw a hat in the ring and decide what you think is a great comic book show?
What do I think is the best one out there right now? Mm-hmm. I can tell you which one's not. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's not what I asked
very good.
you. That's a reverse of what I asked you.
Yeah, I know.
No. That's not what I asked. Therefore, I will not accept that answer.
I thought Daredevil season 1 was great. So I'm a big Daredevil fan. I think that's a very well run comic book related show.
So would that be your front runner?
I have to see Punisher because I'm very excited about it.
No, all the stuff that you've seen so far.
The stuff that I've seen so far. Yeah, I would go with maybe that. I'm trying to think. Legion was interesting. Legion was, I wasn't as like everyone loves Legion, not you.
No.
And
I actually, in defense of Legion, I only saw one episode.
Yeah, but you that was enough.
It did.
That was enough.
I had a visceral reaction to it.
I mean, all the Netflix stuff is really good, right? Like, I mean, there's no question about that.
Most of it's pretty good.
Even the stuff that's not great is still like watchable and passable.
Most of it's pretty good.
But I mean,
but
at
not
the end
all of it,
right? So at the end of the day, I'm in the Daredevil camp, but I can't wait. Punisher, amazingly enough, was always my. You have that one comic where you just have this like. You could just pick it up at any point. It's going to be good because you're not getting, War and Peace, and you're not getting Van Helsing. You're just getting. It's just consistent. It's Frank goes and kills mafia guys, and how he kills them.
It wasn't very complicated.
Right? No, and it's great. And it's like, well, but how does he kill him? What precarious circumstances? But it's not. No, but it's not just shooting because sometimes he would kill them in like. Crazy ways. He would set up a sting. He would be working with law enforcement, then not working with law enforcement. But for the most part, it was just like, what's your comfort food? Like, what's something that you could just like? I could eat pizza.
Pizza.
I'd have give me a slice of pizza.
Yeah.
Frank's a slice of pizza. Right? There was just no. So I'm excited to see him in television format.
Okay. So, but are you going to preemptively say that that's probably going to be the best one, even though you haven't seen it yet?
No, I'm not going to preempt it yet. So here's the other thing, too.
Out of what you've seen, how come this is a complicated question? Out of what you've seen so far.
Because I told you, behind the curtain, I'm really tired. I'm trying to remember all the things I've seen.
Yeah, but I'm trying to give you room for you to be able to...
Throw out some titles real quick.
I don't know. Defenders. You said we already had a discussion about Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, right?
Yeah.
There is
Those are
Runaways.
Those are all the Netflix. And Runaways I haven't seen yet either.
There is Runaways. There's Gifted.
Gifted's supposed to be pretty decent. Gotham is supposed to be pretty decent.
Gotham.
I'm more of a Marvel guy than
there's
DC guy.
There's Supergirl. There's Flash.
And that's a tough one. So the DC universe I haven't gotten into.
There's Green Arrow.
Yeah. And now Arrow's supposed to be fantastic also.
So you just got nothing to throw in there.
No, I got Daredevil. There you go.
All right.
That's my answer right now. But it's going to be Punisher, I feel like.
Oh.
I feel like it's going to be Punisher. I feel like...
Come so close to getting an answer, and then you're like, yeah, let's do it.
I feel like everything that everyone has said about it, it's got me hyped up. Now, it might have me overhyped.
You fall for this every time. Every time you fall for this, and I have to go down a rabbit hole with you.
Yes,
and that's what's bothersome to me.
But this is the thing, though. I don't walk in with it saying like, well, I'm gonna think this is good because it's good. No, I said I think it's going to be good.
Yeah.
But when I see it, I'm going to make my own judgment. I'm not going to walk away from it going, well, I guess that was really good.
So that's what I'm saying. So leave that out of it for right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, right now, Daredevil was the best I think I've seen.
Oh, God.
I think that's the best I've seen.
That's what we call
the best
circuitous,
adaptation.
Sir. An answer.
That's
full circle.
Wow.
Full circle.
Too much. All right, but we want to know what you think. Chime in on the Facebook feed. Give us your best one. We're going to have Lauren Sisselman coming on next to tell us why Riverdale is what we should be watching when we come back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you a curious person, always asking questions? Do you desire to be in the know? I'm your host, Antonia, of the show So Now You Know. Join me as I attempt to satisfy your curiosity. Listen live Tuesday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. weekly at talkradio.nyc.
If you have an interest in marijuana, you want to know about marijuana, law, policy, and culture, then feel free to join me, Joseph A. Bondi, every Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning on my show In the Know 420 on TalkingAlternative.com.
Legalize the herb to continue to resist the passage of this necessary legislation.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
vision for the film and decided to part ways.
Yeah, that's one of those things where these guys showed up really late to this meeting and they were drunk and they were throwing cake around and we decided to get them out of the building. That's kind of the creative differences. Or I might be speaking from personal.
That was your bad experience.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every Wednesday night. I was very excited there. I was pretty pumped up. Why is it that funny? He didn't get me in time.
It's not funny. It just is funny. In context, it's funny. If I explained it, it wouldn't be funny.
What? Huh?
If I explained it, it wouldn't be funny.
But, all right. I'll live with that.
It was just a moment. It was in the moment.
We are talking TV series. We are talking the best comic book related TV series. Well, let's say on the air now, though. On the air now.
Yeah. Well, Daredevil's still on the air.
But you actually said off the air Blade.
What?
With Spike TV.
You throw me under the bus.
I'm not throwing you under the bus.
Yes. I thought Blade was a great show from Spike. Except for Blade.
All right.
Except for the guy who played Blade.
Our guest writes for Bleeding Cool. And she is their Riverdale expert, and she's going to come on and tell us all the cool things about Riverdale. Lauren Sisselman, are you there?
I am. How are you?
I'm very, very good. Inform our audience why they need to be watching Riverdale right now.
Oh, man. Well, we're in season 2.
Okay.
And there's a new killer in Riverdale. It could be anybody. We don't know who it is. And they're killing people.
Killer's killing.
I like it. Like, it's very simple. Very direct.
If you grew up reading Archie, you're going to watch this and be like, what the heck?
So, I mean, that's the premise of Riverdale, right? I mean, the premise of Riverdale is they basically kind of took the old Archie characters, but kind of put them in this, like, Gossip Girl, with a little bit of horror, a little bit of like suspense, a little thriller. Like it's basically taking that premise and just kind of throwing it on its head.
I mean, that is mostly correct. The showrunner wrote the Afterlife with Archie series, which is Archie is in the zombie apocalypse. Mm-hmm. And there was actually going to be an Afterlife show, but that's for a movie, and that turned into Riverdale, which is amazing. It's definitely not your Bob Montana Archie. It's not white picket fence. It's crazy shit.
So give us...
I mean, it's very much so Gossip Girl, yeah.
So give us the recap of season 1 without revealing... Because I know there was like a killer at the end. There was somebody, but don't give us... Because don't tell us who it was.
No spoilers.
Don't give us a spoiler, but give us a recap of season 1.
In season 1, this is not a spoiler. This is...
Everyone dies. She just goes right to the end. Everybody gets killed.
Jason Blossom's body is found in Sweetwater River.
Okay.
And Archie finds... Or not Archie, Kevin Keller finds it.
Okay.
But Archie hears the gunshot that killed this kid.
Oh.
So they have to figure out who killed him and why. And will it happen again?
So it's kind of like a crazy comic book Twin Peaks.
Yes.
Type thing.
Yes. Actually, Twin Peaks is a very good reference for what the format of that show is now.
A lot of people do compare it to Twin Peaks.
Yeah, it's off the wall. What do you think about taking risks like this? I mean, just the premise alone, right? It's like taking these characters that we've all, I think, read an Archie comic, whether you've picked it up in a supermarket, whether you read just like a strip, or, everyone's read an Archie comic. To see it like this, I mean, that's a big risk, right?
Well, Archie, as a company, the comics themselves, have been taking risks for about 2 years now when they rebooted everything.
Mm-hmm.
So the new comics, which are written by Mark Waid, they're still kid-friendly, but they're much more adult. They deal with real issues, and it is a lot different than the ones we read in the 90s, or even before that. Classic Archie is still a thing, but this new, like, edgier Archie, which you can see in Riverdale, I love it. I'm glad to see some character development after, like, 70-some years.
Some might say overdue.
Well, that's kind of the beauty of it, right? I mean, look, these 50s, drinking milkshakes and having hamburgers, it's...
I know,
it's not even close to the world we live in now, let alone 30 years ago.
I was doing that for dinner.
Yeah, well, but you weren't, roller skating around when you did it. I mean, it was essentially, now...
Depends on how big your house is.
Well, this is true.
What do you think I was doing before I called you? Like, come on, man.
I know nothing.
Come on, you were doing the moonwalk. You know you were moonwalking in those ice skates.
So for Bleeding Cool, what do you do? Recaps for them? Like, what do you do for Bleeding Cool in terms of Riverdale?
I've done Twitter, like, live feeds. I've done live blogging. I don't like it as much. I watch the episode ahead of time, and then I write about it.
Okay.
When they brought me on, I did a lot of compare and contrast to the comics.
Uh-huh.
But, I say this about other comic book shows and movies. You can't really compare it to the comic. I mean, they're not made for people who've grown up reading these books. I've read Archie for almost 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're for people who know what it is, but don't know, and it's easy to grasp it. Like, everybody knows who Batman is.
Right.
But not everybody has picked up, like, a Batman comic book.
True.
So they're more accessible. They're easier to digest. Plus, I mean, you could say this about most superheroes. People don't want to read, like, 70 years worth of crap.
What do you think I was doing before I came to this show?
I don't even want to read a month's worth of crap sometimes.
No, it's a fair point too. So let me ask you a question, because I know you already chimed in on the Twitter feed earlier today, though. Riverdale is the only comic book related TV show you're watching. What other TV are you watching besides Riverdale?
I watch a lot of wrestling.
Ooh,
see, SmackDown and NXT, and I got into New Japan.
She's making like so many fans right now.
Yeah,
like you've no idea.
She's legit. That's what that means.
So I took like a 13-year hiatus on wrestling, and then when I started writing for Bleeding Cool, everybody there was like, "Oh, I fucking love wrestling." I was like, you know what? I should get back into it. And the first night that I started watching it again was when Finn Balor came back, and I like grabbed the phone and I was like, why did nobody tell me that this guy was a thing? And it's been downhill ever since. I watched Total Divas because it's tied into WWE. And right now I have Property Brothers on.
So mainly reality show and Riverdale. Like, that's it, right?
I mean,
and wrestling.
Well, wrestling's like reality show.
Mad Men.
What's that?
She watched
Mad Men
Men.
is my favorite show. The Wire is my second favorite show.
There you go.
Like,
all right, yeah.
There you go.
I'm either going to watch real TV or I'm going to watch complete garbage.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? I love that you actually call it the real TV. I think there's so much comic book related stuff out there. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Like, I mean, it's good in the sense that, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fanboys that get to see their characters up there, but it's not
too much of anything is
too
bad.
much of anything is bad, and also, I mean, it's not like this is the exact rendition of, Gotham that you remembered when you were a kid, or this is your Green Arrow, or this is your,
you get canon questions now.
Yeah, I mean,
what's canon, what's
not.
I
mean, what do you think? What do you think about the state of TV? They say it's a golden age of TV, and it is, I guess. Is there room for all this?
Personally, I think so. I don't know if it's really translating into comic book sales going up, but from a collector's point of view, if you buy and sell Golden and Silver Age books, like I have a couple Golden Age books, I have some Silver Age books. Right now is the best time to have these books because you can sell them for crazy money.
That is the insight that we were looking for here, because now Sam's like lamenting the fact that he gave me a couple of Golden Age and Silver Age books. I found these in my closet. Here, just throw
Here
these.
you go. You're a good kid. You'll like this.
Lauren, before you go, Sisselman. That's your real last name, right? Because that's just the best last name ever.
Actually, it is, and I usually don't use it.
No?
What?
What do you
I
use?
usually go by Baltimore Lauren.
Oh, no. Don't do that. Sisselman, own it.
Sisselman,
it's great.
it's
We were
yours.
just saying how great.
And I do have to say, you spelled it wrong.
I did?
Oh, man. You should read some of my articles to see how it's actually spelled.
burn.
Oh, it's with Sizzle and Min. It's right there.
Reading's fundamental.
Oh, boy. Tell everyone where they can read your articles and see your wonderful stuff.
Over at Bleeding Cool, you can find me on Twitter at Baltimore Lauren or on Instagram, Lauren from Baltimore.
All right. Baltimore Lauren. We like Lauren Sisselman better. Thank you so much for joining us. When we come back, we go spinning the racks, talking about Quentin Tarantino directing Star Trek. What?
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and TV? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your host on TalkingAlternative.com. I've been professionally writing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for almost 15 years. Catch my show, Secrets of the Sire, at its new primetime slot, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com.
TalkingAlternative.com.
So we got Spider-Man Homecoming.
It's a big deal now, isn't it? Spider-Man.
Opening weekend doesn't count. Let's see what the drop-off is from week to week.
Fair. Part of what I said was right, though.
I will acknowledge that. I didn't disagree with that. I didn't disagree that everyone would be...
You disagreed with pretty much everything I said last week.
But that's what makes a good show.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every...
I keep waiting for that song to take off. Because
Yeah,
that's
I
like
know.
the preamble.
It
to
is the
song.
preamble to the song.
And every time we come back, I'm always anxious the last segment of the show because I'm like,
I keep waiting for our show to take off. Our entire show is a
keep
preamble.
waiting, buddy.
It's a preamble.
Keep waiting.
People in Denmark are like, what's a preamble? I don't even know what that means. I want to thank Lauren Sisselman. I did
You did
actually spell her name wrong. But I actually like Sizzle with an L-E rather than
you
E-L.
suggest she change it.
I agree. I think exactly what she should do. But no, Lauren's awesome. She's gone conning with me lots of times. She's really cool, and she's doing some cool stuff at Bleeding Cool. So she's saying,
know her. You're in the personal with her, and you still spelled her name wrong.
I didn't know her last name. I mean, we're not
dark,
like that tight.
dude.
Come on now.
Yeah, I don't know who she
She's
is.
actually a friend of a friend. I don't even know who she is.
She's a friend of
No, we want to thank her for jumping on Talking Riverdale. We're just basically talking about all the TV shows we should be watching. But that's the interesting question, right?
Right.
You know, is too much of a good thing a bad thing? Is there just too much? I mean, even like, you know, we do this, well, not for a living because we don't get paid to do this, but we actually lose money every time we're up here. You know, we're here to talk about, there's just so much stuff. It's like, well, I got to work and I got to pay my bills. I don't have time to sit and watch every single TV show that's out there to fulfill like these fanboy dreams that I had as a kid. I mean, well, that I wasn't a DC guy, so I could care less about like Flash and Arrow and things like that. But
well, yeah, it's a little too much. I do like the DC, the WB situation because they've serialized it. So they put it on one after another. So they own the week, basically. Yeah. So if you watch one, you'll probably end up getting dragged into another and another. They're very samey in the way that they, you know, they go about telling a story. But it's consolidated in one place. It expands kind of on itself, but it's kind of an enormous universe in and of itself. You get into that. The thing I'm not loving, even though their shows are better. The Netflix Marvel shows, I think they're taking too much advantage of the quality of the show, and they're giving us way too little content. You know, if you have to wait like 4 or 5 years between seasons,
said this before
for something, and I'm like, look, For the like Defenders, we waited a while for Defenders.
Sure.
Defenders basically was a sequel to 2 shows because we were waiting for another season of Daredevil.
Yeah.
Waiting to find out what happened after Jessica Jones. Luke Cage was a little closer together, so it wasn't that long a wait. And then it was like 8 episodes. It really didn't do much for what it was.
No, I agree.
For putting all those heroes together.
Yeah, no, it kind of bang and a whimper.
Yeah, and then we're gonna have to wait 2-3 years. They could literally justify stringing us along for 2 or 3 other years.
Look at shows like Curb Your Enthusiasm, right? Like Larry David basically just said, "I'm done with it for now," and then 9 years later or whatever it took him to come back, he's like, "All right, now I want to do a show now." I think that's what we're going to start to see, which ultimately shouldn't that lend to better TV though?
How does that counter what I was saying though? Like,
no,
of course.
I'm saying, shouldn't it lend to better TV? Because now,
but it's not. That's the definition of what I'm talking about. Look what you got. You waited for the Defenders when you saw it. You didn't get much, and now you're going to have to wait another 3 or 4 years for another one.
I agree. It didn't. Maybe this one didn't pull it off right. But theoretically speaking, right? Like and we'll use the music analogy, right? Like when a band feels they have to release an album. You can hear it, right? You can hear it.
The album analogy.
The album analogy is a fantastic analogy. I will use it every single time. That and sports. Sports. And
Scotch.
When a band feels they have to release an album, I don't think it's as good. But when they come, when they take a break and then all of a sudden they get inspired and they come back.
Come on. We're talking about, like, if you're talking about if shows are a good thing or a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is, like, look, your show, you're doing content. Mm-hmm. If you're not giving me content, I'm waiting like 3 or 4 years for something, and they have been getting progressively worse.
Sure.
So Daredevil came out, everyone was like, "Whoa, this is great!" This is Marvel's done it again. Daredevil 2 came out, a little less buzz, but it was solid, right? Jessica Jones comes out, I was like, "Oh, that's a little long." Luke Cage comes out, I was like,
actually, I heard people raving about Jessica Jones.
Well, one of the main complaints was it was a little long. It could have contained itself in 8 episodes.
Same complaint with Daredevil. Go ahead.
The same thing with Luke Cage came along. Iron Fist came along. It was panned. It was absolutely panned. The Defenders comes along and it was well received because it was better than Iron Fist.
Sure,
but it wasn't that great.
Now Punisher.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen Punisher.
Yeah, but I'm hearing raves though. Raves.
I don't want to talk about raves. I mean, it's much better received.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Defenders, Iron Fist. That's 4 out of 6 shows that they have all together.
Yeah.
That's not a great track record for them to be tarnished like that. So that's what I'm saying about, like, content. If there's a lot of stuff out there, that's great. What's going to happen is the quality is going to get swallowed up by the quantity.
Yeah.
So as I'm saying, the WB is doing it year after year, week after week. Right. So they're going to keep eating up the open space that Marvel's leaving with the Netflix shows as you're taking 3 or 4 years to drop 13 episodes that, by definition, they can only be middling after a while because you're just continuing a story. It's not like this is what we were saying about
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. It's not a movie. It's not an event. It's just a show. So after a while, they're only going to be average. You're going to be lucky if they're only average.
But that's the thing, right? And it's funny because we've talked about this too. Because I feel like the Marvel movies aren't events anymore because they've taken on the episodic nature of it. I think shows can reinvent themselves, though. I think shows
that doesn't always work, though.
No, it doesn't always happen.
I mean, there's a long
but I think,
list of shows that died because
but you can
rebranded.
You can look at, like, Friends had at least 2 or 3 creative resurgences.
Comparing Friends, that's a completely different genre, though.
No, but genre doesn't matter. I'm talking about the nuts and bolts. I'm talking about the nuts and bolts behind it, right? Like where you can see the writers were struggling or they were latched onto a particular storyline.
I never watched Friends.
No, Friends is a good show. You should watch it.
No,
but in particular, go watch season 4 where they had a creative resurgence, and go watch season 9 that was creative resurgence as well.
Yeah, look at that. I have to jump like 8 seasons in order to get funny back.
Yeah.
No.
But I think that's what it comes down to with art in general, right? I think there's inspiration, and we'll use the analogy, the band analogy.
Art argument.
But that's what this is supposed to be, isn't it?
No,
you don't think this is?
You said is it a good or bad thing that there's too much? Yeah. There's too much of this stuff, right? I'm saying volume versus space.
Yeah.
Right? if you have quality,
right,
but you keep taking so long to produce the quality.
I heard that argument.
Yeah,
yes, I understand that.
So that's the only argument I've been on. Now you're talking art. I don't understand what art.
But the time it takes to release something can be related to the machinations behind the scene, the inspirations behind the scenes. It doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing. You're using that as a negative. You're saying that that's taking them longer and longer and longer, and look, it's poop that they're delivering. But I'm sitting there saying that just might have been in this particular case with shows like Iron Fist and with Defenders.
3 or 4 of them. The average, they actually average more negative
than hits, you think?
Exactly. And that's another thing. If you have to wait that long for something that's not quality,
well, but then it's going to eat itself up and fade, which I agree with you.
Which I just said.
But I said it's much more expeditiously, and I do agree with that.
I taught you that word.
I agree with that, but I also think that it can be related to, hey, you know what? Let's come up with the best thing possible.
Your argument is a pertinent argument in other circumstances.
Okay.
But the problem is, what we're talking about here is we waited that long and didn't get art. So that's what's the problem.
Until we see Punisher, and let's see what that does.
Even so.
Which, ironically enough, I feel like it came out very fast, to be honest with you. So, isn't that great? All right, we do this every week. We go spinning the racks.
Spinning the rack, spinning the rack.
Bringing you the most fantastical pop culture news available, and there's just a ton.
Fantastical.
There's there's a ton.
Word.
Ryan Reynolds is going to play Pikachu in a live-action Pokemon movie.
That's one of the worst things I've ever heard. Literally the worst thing I've ever heard.
We don't have too much detail on that just yet.
Yeah, so let's not talk about it. All I'm going to do is poop all over it.
I'm going to pull up more information on that. Meanwhile, we are going to talk. Deadline is reporting Quentin Tarantino recently pitched an idea for a new Star Trek film to J.J. Abrams and Paramount, and it was very well received. Paramount is looking to assemble a writer's room to flesh out Tarantino's idea at the moment, and if all things go according to plan, Abrams will stick around as a producer. Depending on the rest of the development process and his schedule, it is also possible Tarantino could direct the film.
If a duck came out of a pond and went up to the side of a road and decided to cross the street and got hit by a car, I believe that duck could direct a better movie than J.J. Abrams. Okay?
But it's not J.J. No.
I know. So anybody who's replacing J.J. is going to be favored by me. I think that squashed, bleeding duck could direct a better movie than J.J. Abrams.
Pat Shand chimed in, I love Quentin too much for him to be directing a Star Trek movie. Write it, but don't direct it.
Whatever. So I love your creativity, so stop creating. so curtail yourself, please, because I don't want to stop loving you for the work that you do.
Roderick Corpus can't wait for Samuel L. Jackson to be cast as Spock.
I don't think it's going to be a reboot, though. Isn't it going to? It's Abrams' verse, right? So it's still going to be the same cast.
Yeah.
It's just going to be part 4.
Spock really hit everyone zeroed in on Spock. Alex Granchara, Reservoir Spock.
Well, of course, because Spock is easy.
Yeah,
Spock is easy.
I envision Kirk and Spock going for a Royale with cheese.
Oh, boy.
I actually envision the entire movie will take place in one scene aboard the Enterprise.
That's all on the bridge,
it.
And people just come on and leave the bridge. And there's the bridge. The doors don't work, so there's like there's a 5-minute scene of Scotty trying to get through the door, and someone gets hung. Someone gets hung in the middle of the. Yeah,
I'm surprised no one went for the cutting off of Spock's ears.
Well,
joke.
that'll
it's
definitely
an obvious
happen.
one.
Yeah,
I mean, I left it alone. I thought other people would. I thought other people would do that, but
because
no.
you do have contemporary music in Star Trek now because of the last few installments of Star Trek, so you could get away with doing that a recreation of that scene.
Totally absolutely. So we have more information on this Ryan Reynolds story. This is hot. It's breaking.
Why?
Unless you're downloading us on iTunes, which you should. Go look us up on iTunes.
It's hot. It's breaking.
Type in Secrets of the Sire, SIRE. Download, subscribe. Go to our YouTube channel.
Don't do it.
Ryan Reynolds will star in the upcoming Pokemon movie Detective Pikachu from Lionsgate. In the upcoming film, the Deadpool star
oh my god, it sounds so
will
bad.
play the titular I don't know why they use that word, but Pikachu
Because
character
It's formal,
who speaks English in the Detective Pikachu series, where only one other character can understand the language.
Titular literally means the character whose name the product is named after.
Of course, fans...
So Sire is the titular name of the character.
Oh, yeah.
See how it works?
Fans of the Pokemon game franchise know Pikachu to only speak in phrases consisting of Pika and Chu. The specific Detective Pikachu character is a peculiar and distinct member with a special ability to find things.
I take this back. I take it back. This is the greatest thing I've ever heard of. I take it back. You know why?
Why?
You know why? Because I'll get to see a Ryan Reynolds movie where he won't be able to run his mouth. And he'll be miserable through that whole film trying to make a joke. That's the greatest thing ever. This is awesome.
The story...
I don't like him.
He doesn't like a lot of people.
Yeah.
The story is kicked into gear when Smith's character's father is kidnapped. He hates me. Forcing the team to team up with Pikachu in order to find him. Newton is a sassy journalist who helps them on their quest. Ryan Reynolds' work does not stop at the voice, however. The actor will also deliver a motion capture performance.
According
to Hollywood Reporter's original
what a treat
report.
to look forward to.
He's going to motion capture as Pikachu?
Yes.
Yeah, you still for it? You still all for it?
We've got 1 minute to go. What is the biggest? We got to run this up the poll. What is the bigger story tonight? Is it the Quentin Tarantino? Is this Ryan Reynolds playing Pikachu?
It's Pikachu.
It's Pikachu.
It's Ryan Reynolds shutting his trap for 2 hours of a movie. No,
and not Disney. No,
Disney
Disney buying Fox. We've been over that already. It's like it's done. It's done.
Ryan Reynolds is gonna have it's literally gonna be like his scene in the Wolverine or Wolverine, where his mouth is ripped off or taped up or sewn up. It's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be the best thing ever.
Awesome.
It's been quite an episode. I want to thank Laura Sisselman from Bleeding Cool. Next week, we welcome Gabe Fiermasco from Comic-Con Revolution. This is going to be pretty exciting, actually.
Really?
Is he
going to be in the studio or is he going to call in?
We're going to hopefully get him in the studio.
Yeah, you're going to get him to walk his tall
We're going to be talking about a particular movie with a couple of people who resemble the Knights Templar, but deep down in space. See how I did that? Tied into Nightfall. Go watch Nightfall. It's on tonight. Go check out our YouTube video where we actually talk about how great it is or how not great it is. Got to check out the video.
How ungreat.
You got to check out the video. But yeah, we're going to be talking Star Wars Last Jedi because it's the end of the year. And then after that, in 2 weeks, it's our 100th episode spectacular, followed by an extra hour of me the next day as part of the Talk Radio NYC marathon. Go check us out. We love you, everybody. We are Secrets of the Sire.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Who do you want to connect with?
Are you an entrepreneur or intrapreneur looking to build your following?
Welcome to our show.
Follow Me Friday with Joan
and Priya.
Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern
on talkradio.nyc.
We're your digital connectors. Woo woo!
Are you a curious person, always asking questions? Do you desire to be in the know? I'm your host, Antonia, of the show So Now You Know. Join me as I attempt to satisfy your curiosity. Listen live Tuesday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. weekly at talkradio.nyc.
Hey, all you crazy listeners. Looking to boost your business? Why not advertise on Talking Alternative with very reasonable rates? Interested? Simply email at info@talkingalternative.com.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and TV? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your host on talkingalternative.com. I've been professionally writing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for almost 15 years. Catch my show, Secrets of the Sire, at its new primetime slot, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network at www.talkingalternative.com. Now, broadcasting 24 hours a day. Talking Alternative.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.